Hi guys, welcome to Safe Diving. In today's video, I'm basically going to show you guys how to swap over your dry gloves on your dry glove ring system. The main reason why I'm doing this video is that I came across basically going through all my stuff, making sure it's all sort of ready for the next dive season when we're out of lockdown, and I found that one of my gloves is actually knackered. So yeah, I'm basically going to show you how to swap them over. Now I've got two dry glove systems with me today. I've got the Kubi dry glove system with this kind of heavy duty sort of vulcanized glove on, and then I've got sort of my current dry glove system that's on my dry suit at the moment. This is Waterproof Ultima with a thin, this is like a 1.6 millimeter Kubi dry glove, and yeah, I'm basically going to show you how to get the old glove off, fit a new glove, and so that you're ready to go diving again. So let's take a closer look. Okay guys, so yeah, first of all, if we take a look at my old manky glove, the reason whilst we're sort of swapping these over, you can see these, they're really brittle. Most of the material is nice and sort of supple like this, but at the fingertips you can see it's just it's really sort of going rigid, and it's just going to start cracking, and a lot of sort of scuba diving gear can go like this if it's not sort of looked after properly, and this you'll typically see on sort of latex neck seals and wrist seals on your dry suit if you don't sort of store them properly, which I obviously didn't. So yeah, you can see this one, as you're sort of pulling the material, it's just ripping and cracking. So I need to swap this glove over. Now most dry glove systems, pretty simple. They're only going to use a like a single O-ring to hold the dry glove in place, and then a kind of cosmetic O-ring to go over the top of it. As far as swapping over seals, you're only really going to need one tool, and this is what I use. This is a just a tiny little sort of pry bar. This is pretty similar to what cyclists use to get their tyres, their bike tyres in position. So you can get hold of these at most sort of cycling shops. They're pretty cheap. They're really inexpensive. But I have seen some people use just a credit card or something. Obviously not a valuable credit card, but it's just something just to make that get that O-ring out easier. So I'm going to start off with Ultima. So at first, all you have to do is remove this cosmetic ring over the top. So just give it a tug in one position and then slide it off. Put that to one side. And then underneath, sort of here, you'll have this section of the glove. If I just peel that back so you can see the O-ring. And then inside here we have that sealing O-ring, and that's what's trapping the glove in place. And that's it really. Now you can use your little tool, or sometimes you can just sort of grab both sides of the glove. I'm not too worried about sort of ripping or tearing this one because it's knackered. But if you are sort of intending on keeping that glove, obviously be careful. You can just sort of pull that O-ring out, and yeah, see there, I ripped it. So do be careful when doing that method. You can use a tool, which I'll show you on the other glove system, and yeah, you can sort of rip it if you're not being careful. Discard that old manky glove, and then I'm going to fit my fancy new one. So bear in mind which way your sort of ring system is facing. So this scoop is going into the glove, and I literally put the whole thing into the glove, and then make it nice and even, or as even as you can get it, so that it's kind of all the way in. And then I saw a great tip online is you stow the glove sort of inside out, and that just means you've got a bit of tension so it doesn't pull all the way through. And then from this side you're putting that O-ring back into this recess, and that's trapping the glove, and that's what makes it a dry glove. So I just tend to, this is the kind of fiddly bit, you need about 3 pairs of hands, but you can do it by yourself if you use this type of pinch grip where you're kind of holding on to as much as the O-ring as possible, and then with your other hand, just pull it over and just push it all the way around so that O-ring's in position. So now you can push your glove back out, and then if you pull this section, the kind of the remainder over that O-ring, and now you basically have to tidy things up. So you can see how it's a little bit uneven. So I've got a bit more material here, a bit less material here, and what you can do is just being very gently and just kind of teasing it sort of back underneath that O-ring, making sure that you're obviously not ripping or tearing the glove as I did earlier. And then when you're happy and it's nice and even, you're pretty much there. So you can spend a lot of time just sort of pulling this nice and neat, but I'm just going to leave it at that really. I like to have quite a lot of space with my gloves. Some people they kind of move it up the wrist and then just cut off some excess material, but yeah, that can get a bit dangerous. So yeah, I'll just kind of leave it at that. That way I've got a bit more sort of movement around my wrists. So now all we have to do is get that sort of cosmetic retainer ring. This has a kind of O-ring on one side, as you can see here. The rest is just a sort of flat silicone. And then that goes over the glove. And then it's going on the sort of the inside of the of that sealing O-ring. So that's really pushing it up against the edge, and that creates that sort of more effective seal, and it covers up this excess material. Same method, using all 3 pairs of hands that you got. Just get that into position. Give the glove a little bit of a pull. Don't be too sort of aggressive with it, especially thinner, dry gloves. And just make sure it's nice and neat all the way around. And yeah, you're ready to go. Double check that sealing O-ring on the inside, the red one, and yeah, you're ready to go diving with Ultima. So now we're going to move on to Kubi. Kind of similar, except we have metal rings on this system. The first thing that you want to do to remove the old glove is take out this middle O-ring. Now you can, I have done it before without a tool. One way of sort of extruding O-rings is sometimes if you get sort of 2 fingers and kind of push it together, you can see how it lifts up. So you don't need a tool, but it can be a bit easier. You can remove that O-ring. That removes this kind of retainer ring. Now oftentimes this has the kind of the Kubi sort of brightly coloured plastic sort of outer. These ones fell off unfortunately, and I've never replaced them yet. And then peel back this sort of section of silicone. And there is your sealing O-ring that you have to get out. This one's a little bit easier. You can just kind of push the O-ring and kind of roll it out. It's quite chunky. So sometimes it's easier to use that method where you just kind of push it and that sort of rolls it out of that seal. So the big chunky one, that's your sort of sealing O-ring. Make sure you don't mix them up. And then to put the new glove on, I'm just going to use the same glove here because it's perfectly fine. Again, I like to stow it inside the glove. Just push it all the way in and then twist it. Try and get it as even as possible. That'll make your life a bit easier later on. And make sure that it covers as much of this sort of solid metal ring as possible. Then, same as before, kind of holding onto that, turn the glove inside out to apply a bit of tension around there. And then with the big chunky ring, same as before, 3 pairs of hands, pull that over and your glove is pretty much there. You see how it's really pulled in this section? That's not what you want. So give that a tug to give yourself a bit more slack. Otherwise there's a chance of that glove just kind of completely failing whilst you're in the water. Double check it's kind of even. And then roll that excess over. And your new glove is almost there. Pop the retaining ring, the metal ring, over the top, just as the silicone one on Ultima. This one has a lip on one side, so the lip goes towards your arm, as it were. And then that gets held in position by this retaining O-ring. And you're pretty well there. So once that sits in the little recess, it's nice and neat all the way around. Double check your sealing O-ring, and yeah, you're good to go diving again. Okay, so that's how I swap over dry glove systems. Now I've actually had to do this in the back of a van once just before a dive because I actually ripped a glove whilst I was getting kitted up. Everyone else was getting kitted up, and whilst I was there, yeah, I just took the old one off, fitted the new one, and I was ready to go on that dive. So dry gloves are a wonderful way of keeping your hands dry whilst maintaining that dexterity, and yeah, you can swap them over in just a few minutes. Let me know down in the comments below what type of glove system you use and why, whether you prefer some neoprene wet gloves or you like dry gloves, whether you like the kind of the thicker heavy duty vulcanized gloves or kind of thinner. Personally, I'd like to swap these out for a brighter glove because the blacks, they don't really stand out that much. But yeah, let's discuss dry gloves in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and of course, safe diving.